Welcome back. How's your bellies feeling now? Lunch up in your throat? But are you ready to keep learning?
Yes!
Excellent. That's fantastic energy. Keep it up. Just let these last. Come on in, have a seat there. Hey. Excellent. So, I'm super excited about the session we will be sharing this afternoon. But before I jump in, there's something really exciting for you guys. Oh, you guys are on it. How many of you were at the business show? Yep, saw you guys earlier. Awesome. Hey. You know what this is all about. You had your opportunity. Those that were with us at the stand know what this is about, and you had a brief opportunity yesterday. Shh, don't tell everybody. We have got something super exciting coming up. Yes, it's an opportunity. An opportunity that about 10 or 15 people in this room grabbed and took hold of yesterday. So there's already some competition. But remember, you're only ever in competition with yourself. I'm not going to give it away. I'm not going to spoil it. I'll give you a clue. It's on one of the banners. Can anyone guess? No one yet? Exciting. Well, I'm not going to go there. All I will say is be ready. You've heard the content this morning. Eric shared with you that investors, opportunities, moments occur every single moment of every single day. It's just up to you whether or not you're ready and you grab them. Does that make sense? Yes. And the rest I will leave till this afternoon's session with Eric. So, let's jump in. How many of you have got goals? A goal, a dream, a vision? Let's shout some out. Oh, nearly all the hands went up and nobody's speaking. Global expansion. With your business? Yeah. Sustainable. Any more?
Launching my hemp juice.
Oh, launching. Nice. Rosemary, you two need to have a conversation. Any others? Let's have a couple more. Sorry? Beautiful. This is a really nice list of goals. We're normally very cliched with our financial freedom, international speaker. Some really beautiful goals here. Rehab center. Okay. Rehabilitation. Thank you. Now, out of these goals, and the people that shouted those out, do you 100% believe that you will achieve that goal?
Yes.
Excellent. Would you put your house on it?
Yes.
Come on then. No, I absolutely excellent. Give him a round of applause. Complete certainty. Raise your hand if you have the same belief as this gentleman here. All of you. 80%. So he's 100% certain that he can make his goal come true. All of you. I'm going to call a couple of you out. Who wants to come up here and share their goal? I know you do. Who wants to come up and share their goal? Okay, let's think about that. Just a moment ago when I asked about your goals, and if you had total certainty that you were going to make that goal happen, all of you said that you were as confident as Comfort and Eddie. Is it Eddie? And yet when I asked you to come up and share your goal, about 4 hands went up. So if you don't have the belief to come up here and share your goal, how are you going to take the action every single day, overcome exactly this sort of challenge and more in order to make that dream come true? Does that make sense? How do you set your goals? We had some pretty big goals there. Does anyone get any smaller goals? I missed the yes. You've got a big one. Pay off your condo. Well, I'd say that's still quite a sizable goal, but
Maybe
good.
not as big as global expansion, though.
Fair enough. Good. Any other smaller goals that we have? I, again, don't think that's a small deal. I think that's brilliant. Thank you, everybody, for sharing. I was looking for something a little bit smaller, which perhaps some of you that are sitting there with slightly tighter lips might be thinking, and that's cool. I've been at workshops and events where I've asked people what their goal is, and it might have been something as simple as painting their house, but it meant a lot to them. But what I want to share with you now is, why do we start small? And if we do create a massive goal, why don't we have that belief? Has anyone got any ideas? Achievable, so realistic. Yeah? Andrew? Seems too big, perhaps a bit overwhelming.
It's always better to have little goals that you hit those points and posts, and then you can aim to get to the higher goal. So you have to start, for instance, I'll go with expansion. So right now, I'm in the process of liaising with people in Spain. Sorry, so right now I'm looking to expand my business globally. So I'm actually in the process of liaising online through like webinars and like through Zoom with people in Spain, in Germany, and in France. But it's only Europe, but that's a start.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Go on, Ganita.
Maybe sometimes people just don't want to be vulnerable to failure as well. So that's
Beautiful.
why you start small and then go big.
Beautiful. I nearly said something really rude. I'll share it with you later, Kalita. Last one then, Joanna. Last
Fear.
one. Fear. Absolutely. It really stops us in our tracks, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
and sometimes we don't even know what we're fearing.
Yes. Very true. And we're going to touch on that in the session today. Because fear and limiting beliefs, i.e. you and what's in your mind, is the only thing that's stopping you. And the problem that I see with so many is they either set small, tiny goals that they know they can achieve, and therefore they put off taking action. Oh, I can do that tomorrow, I can do it. Can anyone relate to that? Or they set these massive, overwhelming goals that they don't truly believe in. So why do we become overwhelmed by it? Fear, as we've said, limiting beliefs. But what is realistic? I would bet money that your realistic is completely different from your realistic. And yet it becomes this generic term that we use to stop us setting big, huge, truly exciting goals. How many of you remember Roger Bannister's story? Raise your hands if you've heard this story before. So quite a few of you don't know. Yeah? Would you like to share it, sir? Yeah, just under 4. Yeah, in 1954, Roger Bannister broke the 4-minute mile record. Now, for those of you that are finding that out for the first time, you're probably thinking, well, what's the big deal? People have done it a lot quicker since. But at the time, what was he told? Couldn't do it. Not realistic. Do you know, in Rome, they actually dragged humans behind chariots to run to try and do the 4-minute mile. And they deemed it impossible, not realistic. You cannot achieve that. Much like we all feel about some of our goals, right? But Roger, I know him well, or did, created his own reality. And I'd write this down. Nobody else's opinion has to define your reality. Nice, Joanna. Because if he had allowed fear to stop him, if he had a limiting belief that he wasn't able to do it, he wouldn't have broken that record. But even more than that, what happened over the next month? Yes. 3 people then stepped up to also achieve under the 4 minutes and in fact beat his record. Now, why did that happen? Boom. Let's give him a hand. And that's why we've been sharing with you this morning the power of having a mentor or somebody that can show you it's been done. But I also want to share with you right now that if you have a brand new, incredibly exciting idea that's massive, go for it. Why not? If we truly, genuinely know that the only thing that stops us is inside our minds, and therefore we can unleash our warrior, draw on our strength, draw on our resilience and our persistence, because nobody can take that away from us. Do you think you would be more likely to achieve your goal?
Yes.
So why are we wasting our time thinking small? Thank you. I believe, love him or hate him, Donald Trump. Donald Trump, I don't know if anybody saw it. As I say, I'm shedding no opinion on the chap. But what I am going to do is admire his thought process. It was Donald Trump that said, think big. And there is an interview shown with him when he's in his 20s saying, I'll probably be the American president one day. With complete certainty. Yeah, you've seen it. Nice. So, why can't we all have that strength? Because I want to share something with you now. Eric, Donald, Richard Branson, Roger Bannister, they're not special. Well, actually they are, but so are all of you. We're all human. So stop with this thinking small nonsense. And I'm going to give a bit of a silly example here. But I want you all to imagine, because you can all relate to this. Imagine that you really need the loo. Like, you know those moments when you're really desperate. In fact, we're in a perfect example to imagine this. Perhaps Eric, or hopefully me, is in the middle of a really important point, something that's really engaging you. But you really need the loo. And especially because Eric's just told you you're not allowed to go. If that toilet was close to you, do you think you'd just nip and go? Or do you think you'd know, oh, I can wait a little bit longer, it's really close?
I'll wait.
The majority would wait. But if you knew that the toilet was like other side of the hotel, up 4 flights of stairs, and there's only one, and every time you've been so far it's been engaged, are you more likely to get up and start moving? To start going towards? If you don't take it as literally as missing Eric speaking. But I liked your style. Are you more likely to go and take that action to move towards it if it's further away? And it's exactly the same with your goals. If you set a small goal, there's no urgency. There's no excitement about achieving it. It was Les Brown that said, if you shoot for the moon and you miss, where do you land? And isn't that a beautiful place to be? Thank you. No. Yes, you can. Of course you can.
You're thinking big, but you have a big dream. But you know it will take small steps to get there. But from one horizon leads to another.
Beautiful.
So in actual fact, the small step isn't the end in itself.
Do you want to come and finish my presentation?
But it's still a goal. Because
Yes.
if it's not a goal, you will not get that small step. You will
Absolutely.
achieve it.
Yeah, spot on. Give him a hand. Nice. I shared with you earlier that I came into this world through network marketing. And I was fortunate enough to be listening to Tony Robbins and Les Brown. I didn't know that they were the biggest. I didn't know how humongous Tony Robbins was and that Les was the world's #1. I'd just been recommended to listen to them. And I started. How many of you know Les Brown? Pretty engaging, right? So I started listening to him every single day. And that became my goal. Very quickly. I am going to share the stage with Les Brown. I set that as my goal. Now, do you think I believed it straight away? Why? Fear? Too far away? So what did I do? Practice my speaking, yes. But what else? What can you do to overcome that fear? What can you do to start taking action towards a bigger goal? Yep, your emotional attachment, of course. But where does it start? Self-confidence. Your confidence. Building your belief. Now, I'm going to transition and talk about beliefs more in a moment. But first of all, I want you to just take a moment. I'm going to give you 2 minutes. And I want you to really think, what's that big goal for you? Mine is to be able to speak with Les Brown. What's yours? What's that big, huge goal that can light you up inside? What's that compelling vision that's going to get you out of bed in the morning? No alarm. So I'm going to give you 2 minutes now. How many minutes? 2 minutes to write down in as much detail as you possibly can what your goal is. That big, huge vision. And just when you think you've set that really big goal, make it bigger. And pause right there. Now, very quickly, we have 1 or 2 new sharing of goals. Someone we haven't had yet. And remember, if we don't raise that hand and have the belief to be able to share our goal, how are you going to achieve it? Reese.
Oh, hold it, cheers. So I'd like to be #1 at my software company, so in a software startup that's just launched and we're trying to grow it. So my long-term goal is to be #1 within that.
Brilliant.
Have the cliche Silicon Valley offices, beanbags, ping pong tables, big team of creatives, developers, and really just sort of scale
What
it.
size team? What number?
Oh, I don't know, let's say 50, 100.
Okay. Get more clarity on that yourself when you're
Okay.
not on the spot. But nice.
And then end goal is to be considered like a role model or a mentor for young entrepreneurs. I'm 21 myself. I've been building software for since I was 19, 18. So
Can I just pause
yeah.
you there?
Yeah.
Is that already inspiring? Yes. Is that already a role model? Yes.
Thank
You've
you.
done that.
Thank you. Cheers.
Okay, just for time, I am going to keep moving on. Now, we've set that big goal. We've thought of that compelling vision. We're excited about it. But what stops the overwhelm? This gentleman shared it earlier. We need to chunk it down. You need to reverse engineer that goal. Because the problem I see is that so many set these big goals and then overwhelm gets in the way, so they start procrastinating and getting a little bit distracted. Maybe even setting some new goals or deciding, actually, I feel like doing something different. So we've got to think about setting achievable action steps. How many of you have attended an event or a webinar before where you've set these big goals? And be honest here. How many of you have then gone home and got back into your routine and perhaps had a few negative comments for some people that you really thought would believe in you, and it stopped you? Yeah? How many of you can? Quite a few. Thank you for your honesty. So how do we stop that? We set these action steps. You create a plan. But we're not going to do that right now because you're about to have another 2.5 days of absolutely phenomenal content. Tomorrow you're going to get so many strategies, so many ideas that there would be no point in gaining complete clarity of action steps right now because I bet they would change tomorrow. But that's something that I'd like all of you to do. This goal that you've written down, once you've heard all of Eric's inspiring knowledge that allows you to step by step achieve those goals that you've just written down, then please make a plan. Create action steps. But one last piece of advice, don't fall in love with the plan. It can change in any moment. At the beginning of this, how many of you set New Year goals, New Year's resolutions? How many of you break them in the middle of January? That wasn't actually the point I wanted to make, but that is why we need to create emotional attachment to our goals. Why do you want that goal? Hey, John, now I see you. How do you create emotional attachment to that goal? Why do you want it? Why is it important to you? But don't fall in love with your plan. At the beginning of this year, I mapped out my 12 months, decided how I was going to be able to get on that stage, the steps I was going to take, and then suddenly in the middle of February, I receive a phone call from Eric asking if I wanted to be part of the H Academy team. And I will be forever grateful. But it hadn't been on my radar, especially not for that time frame. Now, had I been totally absorbed and tunnel vision in my plan, I might not have grabbed that opportunity. And I'd like to share with you all now that I left my husband, not left him, I haven't divorced him. I love you, James. But my husband is in Cornwall, and I'm based in Lincoln now. And some people say, is that tough if it's hard? And I want all of you right now to think about that. Because what would you give up? What would you sacrifice? What would you do if it meant achieving the goal that you've just written down? Because my exciting piece of news is that in October, I and Liam and Sonia are sharing the stage with Les Brown. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It absolutely means the world to me. And I want you to know something. This opportunity actually came up a year ago today when we were at Master the Stage that Eric touched on earlier. And I don't know if many of you know, quite a few of you said you knew who Les Brown was, but he actually had been diagnosed with cancer and wasn't well. And there was a possibility that this talk would be cancelled. And Eric messaged me and said, "Superstar, just to let you know, we're not sure about Les anymore." Do you know what I wrote back? Instantly, I created a picture, a collage of me, Liam, Eric, and Les, and said, "No, Eric, it's happening." That is the power of having a strong goal, bringing emotional attachment, and doing whatever good it takes, to quote our amazing CEO. Doing whatever good it takes. Now, I'm very quickly going to run through how to build that belief in yourself. And I am going to fly through this because we've got an absolutely incredible speaker just about to join us. So have your pens ready, take notes. Because as we shared earlier, it's the belief that stops us. And due to the time, I'm going to give a very generic example. Oh, sorry, Tate. We shared that what stops us is our beliefs. What's that? Yes, I can draw. Thank you. Training to be an artist. What's he attached to? So how many of you have seen those big, huge bull elephants in the wild? And they're attached to a wooden post. And it's a tiny little wooden post. And they don't even try to get away. They don't even try to leave that post. And that's the problem that I see with so many people. They have these limiting beliefs about themselves. They have a belief system that doesn't serve them. Belief system. BS. What do you think my abbreviation for that is? Thank you. Oh, whoever. Nice, Joanna. Absolutely. And I will share that with the rest of you. Bullshit. Can that massive elephant get away from that wooden post? Can you achieve your goal? So why doesn't the elephant try and get away from the wooden post? Mindset, but why? Why though? Conditioning. How many of you realize that everything you do, all of your behavior, stems from your experiences and what you've been told? Everything that you do, everything that you believe about yourself is due to your past, or due to conditioning, or due to being repeatedly told something. And when that elephant was a little tiny elephant, it was attached to a big pole. And when it tried to get away, and what was it told? No, you can't, get back, no! So what happened to the elephant through time? And what happens to all of you through time? You stop trying. You give up. Raise your hand if you are aware of situations where you've taken the easy option to just step back and give up. And if you haven't raised your hands, you lie about other things too. All right, Radcliffe. So I want you to truly think about that. Because every single one of you can create your own reality. And the last thing that I'm going to leave you with, because I am running out of time, is something that's really true to my heart. How many of you let a fear of judgment get in your way? Fear about what other people will think. An opportunity comes up, an idea, and you're worried what your friends will think, or your parents will tell you, no, that's a ridiculous idea, don't do that. How many of you have that fear? Thank you for your honesty. How many of you have heard of the spread Marmite? I guess you love it. Marmite, what was the advertising slogan? Love it or hate it. I want you all to set that as an anchor for yourself right now. Love it or hate it. There will be some people in this world that love you, support you, agree with you. And there will be some people in this world that don't, that hate you, that judge you, that give negativity. Do you think it's really about you? No. Good. So if we can say that in here, why don't we say it out there? And that's what I want to leave you with in this moment. If I have the opportunity to come back, I'll help you more with empowering beliefs. But for now, I want to leave you with that thought. Stop letting a fear of what other people think or what other people will say get in the way of you doing exactly what you have just written down on that piece of paper.